Hello everybody and welcome to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, bringing you a brand new review and a spoiler-free review for John Wick Chapter 4. Of course, directed by Chad Stahelski, out in cinemas this Friday, with select previews happening this Thursday the 23rd. And as I said, I'm here to bring you some spoiler-free thoughts. I was just in the film in IMAX tonight. I'm recording at just gone 12 o'clock midnight, and I'm going to give some immediate thoughts on that. And for those curious, we are going to have a spoiler discussion. Whether that's live or pre-recorded, we don't know yet. It'll be later this week, maybe the weekend. More details TBC. And if you want to find out about those, find out about what other videos are going on, go get us on our social medias. Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy with a link to Letterboxd in the description below. And kind of talking as well in regards to those, I want to hear your thoughts. So please do comment below with your thoughts on the John Wick films. If you've seen John Wick 4, please do keep it spoiler free on this video. We have plenty of time to get into spoiler discussions, and I hope this review is interesting. And I'm going to sort of kickstart getting into the review of my thoughts on John Wick 1 to 3, because there was an idea, not to put together a team of remarkable people, but to do a whole week of videos dedicated to John Wick. Due to scheduling, it wasn't possible to do so. The thumbnail that you're going to see on this artwork tonight is indicative of that we wish there was more videos to go out, but unfortunately we have not been able to. But aside from that, I'm a massive fan of this series. The first two, I think, are two of the best action films made in history. It's one of the best double bills you could ever watch for a film. I do quite like the third one. I've seen it the least. There are some things I struggle with, the pacing and where the story goes, quite literally in terms of location at certain moments, but it's still an incredible film. It's just when you compare it to John Wick 1 and 2, it's almost impossible. And, getting into the fourth one, was the hype there? Yes. This film is 2 hours 50 minutes. When films keep announcing these almost 3 hour run times, sometimes I'm gutted, sometimes I'm buzzing, and this was the latter. I would take a 3 hour John Wick film. This is almost twice the length of John Wick 1, for God's sake. You really think about how far this series has grown. Think about the resurgence of Keanu Reeves. Think about how they filmed this, before, during, / after COVID. Remember when we were going to have The Matrix 4 and John Wick 4 out on the same day? It was going to be the Keanu Reeves double bill. COVID robbed us of that. But I've just got to say, this is well worth the wait. My initial thoughts on this fourth film is, this is absolutely incredible. This is a worthy addition to the John Wick series. This is a worthy entry to... Is there a term for legendary action films? I don't know. But I'm sort of blown away still. It's been a few hours since watching it. And what's quite scary about the runtime, getting into that to begin with, because there's so many action scenes, because there's a constant, you're not getting action, dialogue for 30, 40 minutes. It's John Wick, you're not going to have that. You forget about incredible set pieces because they happened hours before. And I'm just sort of here mesmerised that for a 2 hour 50 film, there's so many different sequences to speak about, there's so many different things to take away from it. I can't sit here and say a best scene. Obviously the film's not out, we'll do that in this spoiler discussion, but it's so weird to talk about because it's so long in length. And that's kind of my only criticism of the film. It does feel slightly too long. Probably by 10 minutes. They just need to cut a few little things, cut a few little scenes short, cut a few gags short, because aside from that, this absolutely delivers. And when you go into reviewing and approaching a John Wick film, I want to say, are people there for the story? I mean, there is a story there. We've seen, it began as John Wick, his dog was killed, he took revenge. We saw the expansion of the second and third films, bringing in things like the High Table, bringing in this background to the Continental, of course. There's a series on the way, there's Ballerina on the way. The John Wick cinematic universe, is beckoning, is potentially a thing. There's a game, I think, called John Wick Hex that came around the time of the third one. And my takeaway from this experience today was, I went into this with this slight bit of fear. Are they just going to be setting up A, B, and C? Are they just going to do, we'll tease this to come down the line? They didn't. This was a John Wick film. This was an incredible action set piece from start through to end. It builds off the third film. The third film, I still struggle with the ending. But certainly what I would say the approach of the story of into the fourth one, it's weaved in much better. With the addition of supporting characters, we get, with the deeper runtime, a lot more character development. We've got some incredible action legends appearing in this. Donnie Yen, once again, in a Hollywood blockbuster, playing a blind person. And it's not as tiring. It wasn't tiring the first time, it's not tiring this time. This is almost Donnie Yen's film, because it's still John Wick, it's still Keanu Reeves, but Donnie Yen in this is genuinely unbelievable. If you haven't seen the Ip Man films, please do watch them before you see this film. They're incredible. If you look at Donnie's career, it's been amazing. When he's done the mainstream stuff in Hollywood, of course, people talk about this in Rogue One mainly. It's someone that hasn't been oversaturated to that, and I think that makes it so much better. But him in this is just absolutely magnificent. Some genuine, not just comedic moments, but there are some terrifying moments. It has action, and like the John Wick films, we have some of the best stunt choreography that there is to have in the game. There's a one-shot take on this, which is maybe one of the best one-shot takes in the history of action cinema. And I'm not saying that lightly. I'm not saying stuff we've seen it tonight. There is one shot, and you'll know. You'll know when you watch it, because it will get past 5-10 seconds, and you think, oh, this is still going. And it will continue and continue, and it will blow your mind. Chaz Zaleski directing this, as I said, what the John Wick films have done for action, maybe even Hollywood to a point where people are bringing back the more physical action set pieces. We're shying away from, I wish it was big, awful CGI scenes, but we're seeing more of the stunts people coming to the forefront of the game, and that's something the John Wick films have given us that once again delivers with this. It could very easily go wrong. It could very easily not work, but there's always the right approach in the story and the action and how they weave it in together. They weave it into the characters. And as I mentioned, my criticism is that this film is probably 10 minutes too long, and there are a few not tedious action set pieces. It's necessarily what's merged in with some of the action set pieces. There's 2 needle drops in a row, which I think really don't work. Maybe more so for the differing take on a song of whatnot, which was a shame for me, because the songs that have been played in the first 2 John Wick films are genuinely incredible. I've got my own playlist I've been playing for years, and I would say that's something I was really gutted by. There's an amazing set piece, and I just think the music just wasn't there. It flowered out, which was a massive shame. It's not the score either. The score's great. It was those other songs that they play over the top of that. So that's another minor criticism that I did want to bring up. But going back to, the characters, and this is the thing with John Wick. John Wick has always been so much more than just Keanu Reeves. We've enjoyed learning more about Winston. We've enjoyed seeing so much. I mean, we've lost Lance Reddick in last week, which is, thoughts of the family. That was really tough to see that on the news, to see people talking about him, to find out more about his career in the limited amounts I've seen of it. And there was like a nice moment, applause in the credits day at the screening, which was nice to see. It's probably too soon for them to get a tribute on there. Maybe that could be in the cinema cuts from this weekend forward. But of course, we have him returning as well, which was great in one of his final roles. I mentioned Donnie, and we've got another legend of martial arts, Hiroki Sanada, who appears in this, who I think is criminally underused in so many Hollywood projects, and I think, like very few others, he gets his moments in this. I absolutely love seeing him. Again, when this film was being announced, when the cast was coming on board, these are the announcements that I gravitated far more towards. It was seeing this in play, it was seeing these come to play. And kind of in line of that, a really interesting one is Scott Adkins in this. So Scott Adkins, who's appeared in many things, in a lot of martial arts roles, he's been in so many action films. He's playing a character in a fat suit. And I think this is going to go 2 ways on people. Some people are going to love it, some people aren't. Some people might think of comic relief, some won't. Personally, my thoughts on it, I was completely taken aback at the fact that this suit looked like Cristiano Ronaldo. If you've seen the film, you know what I mean? I literally feel like I've watched an action set piece with Cristiano Ronaldo in a fat suit. I don't know why I was thinking of that, but if you watch the film, look at the face, look at the clips, look at how he is in the film, and tell me I am wrong. That is genuinely one of the big takeaways I have from this. But sort of getting away from that really random tangent, again, these films are delivering. We want more of the supporting characters. We've got amazing villains in this. We've got Clancy Brown that appears as well. He's always great to have a presence, and we've got Bill Skarsgård in the villain role, who is amazing. There are so many Skarsgårds. They're a completely insanely talented family. I love how different they all are. I almost said Alexander Skarsgård by mistake, but Bill Skarsgård in this, make no mistake, he's very good. He's very good at playing a villain. He's very good at playing a character you absolutely despise. And I think that is another character that should be spoken about within this series, that, you look to these legendary characters, you think of some of the villains we've had in these films. Alfie Allen was always one of the standouts from the first one, maybe because of Game of Thrones at the time of how big it was, but even how they're still doing this 4 films in and it feels new. What we're getting feels different to what we've had before. The stakes, when I say are upped, not just the literal sense of the bounty that's been on him for sort of 2 films now, but the set pieces that are coming in play with this, what the stunt choreography team are doing, the inventions of not new weapons per se, but there's an insane weapon that is used a lot that I don't know if it's a real thing. If it's not a real thing, it probably will be soon. But how they approach these action films, I'm just mesmerized. It's so hard to talk about in a spoiler review of sorts. But if, as I said, we're 4 films into John Wick. If you're going to go into John Wick Chapter 4 thinking things are going to be different, you're insanely wrong. If you're going to go into John Wick Chapter 4 thinking, oh, maybe this one's going to be different to others, you're also wrong. You know what you're in for, but it delivers with what you are knowing you're in for. And as I said, for me, the struggle is some of the needle drops, some of the runtime, and there's a scene that ties up something from another film which I didn't like too much. It feels very forced. It's near the beginning of the film, but again, it's not an issue in the grand scheme of things. This is a 2-hour, 50-minute action. I want to say the M word then. No, it's not a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, but what it is another incredible entry to arguably the greatest action series ever made. Certainly a series that's going to be with us for decades to come. The impact of this on the industry, what it's done for Keanu's career, what it does for everyone involved. It's so amazing to see. Seeing some of these action legends, and again, the Donnie Yen hype train is back. Makes me want to watch Rogue One. I'm not going to. I'm going to go back and watch one of the Ip Man films, I think, this week. So it's a weird way to round out the review. You must go and see it. And also, IMAX. Let's talk IMAX quickly. The sound in this is sensational. I don't think my ears have had bullets like this since Tenet came out. And if you're into that, if you want the cinema environment, if you want the approach, go all out. Go see this on the biggest screen you can. Now, ironically, the bigger the screen, the less you might be able to take in the action choreography. I'd still recommend it at IMAX, but the Leicester Square IMAX is one of the biggest in the country. And I don't think I could take in as much of the action as I'd have liked. Just because sometimes you are looking around in the seats, corner to corner. There may be things I missed. I will be watching this again though, so it'll be very interesting to see it on a smaller IMAX screen per se, the local one I go to. So that's the kind of cinematic experience. Yes, you need to see this. I'll be picking up on 4K. It'll be in the collection when it's out later this year. It's John Wick Chapter 4. It's everything it should be, deserved to be, and I'm glad it went on to be. And that is going to round out this review. So thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's made sense. I feel like I've forgotten a character or two, which is really frustrating. It's such an insane ensemble of characters in this film. There's certainly a couple of standouts, and we'll be discussing that in a little bit more detail, the spoiler discussion. And there's a credit scene, which, the credit scene is maybe one of the most interesting credit scenes in history. This is a credit scene that will change the impact of the film you have watched. I say that in a very weird way. I've been thinking of credit scenes like this. This isn't a typical, oh, what are you still doing here? This isn't I'm going to set up 3 more films. This is a very, very interesting scene that has been placed here for a very specific reason. It isn't necessary to the plot, to the story, but at the same time it alters what happens before it. So I'm going to leave it ambiguous there, and that's something I'm going to be very curious to read more about when it does drop later this week. But aside from that, thank you all for watching. I'll see you on the next one.